afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about the nature's way of systems design and how can we improve on it. For me, it all started when I met with 3D printing. Since then, especially one particular question has always been in my mind: what to do with empty 3D printing material spools? They always seem too valuable to me to be just thrown away, so I started to collect them. But soon they became a serious problem, taking over too much space in my office. Imagine my friend Tomek, also entrepreneur, coming as usual into our workspace, and suddenly a spool avalanche wiping him out. It could be even funny, but what about these empty spools in landfills? I hate this image, and I'll tell you something. What a terrible waste of quality material. What would you say if I tell you a designed foldable spool? I called it Medusa, much lighter than conventional one, which I believe can be sent back to material supplier in reward for future discounts. It's a bit similar to bottles recycling program, which actually works quite well in Poland. For many, Medusa spool is a product. In fact, it's only a tiny piece fitting far more important and broader context: recycling in 3D printing. What really won the cradle-to-cradle design challenge was LOOP Supply system. We operate on system level, as nature does. Consider carbon cycle. Is anywhere here an end of the flow? Where is beginning? And where is the end? It's easy to come to the conclusion that all we know about waste could be wrong. At some point, our team realized that closed-loop systems are not only how nature designs, but also the bedrock of something called Industry 4.0. Briefly, Industry 4.0 is going even further than automation. This is actually Industry 3.0. Industry 4.0 goes for smart industry. And here's a deeper look into loop supply system. Notice the circular flow of the all systems elements. Blue and green lines depict separated flows of technical and biological nutrients. Remember, there's no waste, there are nutrients. The idea comes from design philosophy by Michael Braungart and William McDonough from a book, Cradle-to-Cradle, Remaking the Way We Make Things. Inspired by this great philosophy, I tried to connect it with Industry 4.0, and here's what I discovered. I pointed out 4 main principles of systems created by nature. Now, they can be adapted to artificial systems of industry we create. Would you like to know them? Perfect. The first principle is keeping a value inside the system. Every single system's element has its own value we should take care of. We don't want to lose it. We want to create more value, not less. At this point, it's clear to see an importance of reduce, reuse, and recycle. With my design, the Medusa spool, I used the fact that coiled material keeps its shape even without spool. Yes, it keeps its shape even without spool. The spool is necessary to prevent it from tangling. Thanks to Fusion 360 simulation capabilities, I was able to reduce the spool weight over 5 times compared to conventional one. With weight reduction goes greenhouse gases emission reduction on transport and production process. Moreover, one spool is used multiple times, so there's even more savings. And here's another try in reduction: virtual reality prototyping. Not all prototyping aspects requires creating physical objects. Nowadays, we are able to simulate real-life situations in virtual environments. It can be done so faithfully, we can test different flight setups before even attempting to build a real drone. The second principle is an interdependence of all systems components. If you change a state of one, others respond. It's impossible to handle complex system elements separately. A good example is low-emission transport. We can't really build low-emission road infrastructure like charging stations without certain amount of electric vehicles. We can't reach this amount of electric vehicles without proper infrastructure. It's connected and interdependent. Future system elements will communicate between each other and exactly know each other's state. This will allow us to control only important parameters of the system, and the stability of the whole will be automatically maintained. One day, we will be controlling whole factories as a single machine. The third principle is collaborative nature. Innovation is all about collaboration. After what's just been said with previous principle, one could think human will be redundant in the industry of the future. He won't. Even today, a trend of collaborative robots intensifies. We are definitely a part of nature, so we should be a part of our own industrial systems as well. How can we overcome our weaknesses? Well, some visionaries like Elon Musk say, if we are going to change the industry, we should change ourselves. One of possible ways of doing this is through augmented reality. We at Crystal Cave also believe in forthcoming of new kind of interfaces, like 3D interfaces or immersive interfaces, and new ways of interaction with environment. This is a prototype of an exoskeleton. During outdoor tests, you all know strength magnifying exoskeletons, which allow workers to carry heavier weights, don't you? This one is thought rather to be a kind of controlling device, allowing people to feel feedback of actions taken remotely. Equipped with augmented reality, it becomes two-way communication device with ability of motion tracking and simulation of any interface, which should be important in factories of the future and especially workers' training. The fourth principle, and probably the most exciting one, is self-healing and self-adjustment. If a disaster happens in the nature, an ecosystem is capable of repairing the damage. If one element gets out of control, whole system tends to maintain equilibrium. Is there a way of reducing negative impact on the environment by using rapid renewable resources? Of course it is. By developing a new generation of agriculture robots. We can intensify agriculture by automation and swarm robotics. Such swarm, I mean bunch of small robots instead of 3 or 4 big ones. Such swarm can be used for auto-regulate the system and even for healing it. So those are the 4 main principles of systems design and nature wants to teach us. Keeping a value, interdependence, collaborative nature, and self-healing, self-adjustment. In Poland, we try to live in harmony with nature and being inspired by its complexity. The fourth industrial revolution is for sure an international trend, but it's also the revolution with the greatest respect for the nature. To achieve the goals of Industry 4.0, we should cooperate between people, between species, between innovative companies, and between countries. Local actions take global results. We have all necessary tools: computer simulation, generative design, additive manufacturing, virtual and augmented reality, and artificial intelligence. We have all necessary tools right now. We are approaching the end of our time, so let's think about what could be the result of implementing the presented idea in the next couple of years. Imagine people and robots working hand in hand in factories of the future. Imagine autonomous agriculture turning deserts into green valleys. Imagine fresh air and mild weather thanks to low-emission transport. And yes, all of this by learning from systems much older than ours. I don't want it to be received as a professional designer's business only. It concerns us all, not only as innovators and entrepreneurs, but as a humanity in our invention, work, and even everyday choices. So be sensitive to nature's wisdom, learn from it, and change the world for better. Thank you.